everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. I wanted to show you a very powerful set of files that I can systematically generate via Python, and it is now going to be part of my quantitative analytics. So basically what this report entails is what are the most volatile currency forex pairs out there. So this is for today, June 22nd. And this is the file. Now, this is really only meant for my quantitative analytic members. This is a unique feature that I'll be able to generate daily, weekly, or monthly, depending upon the need. And as I said before, I don't want to overwhelm people. So let me just show you what this is. So I'm going to be hopping in between my virtual machine of Windows and Mac. Okay, so the first thing is I have a Python script which I have mentioned in the past, and if you come to my membership here and come to this link, you'll get access to it, but you won't get access if you're not a non-member to my quantitative analytics. You won't be able to get access to the files, but you'll be able to see the previous tutorial, which includes this here, and this will explain how some of these files get generated, and I'm going to show you a few years later, or I think about a year later. Okay, so let's get to it. So generally what we have is I'm using IQFeed, and the data source that I'm capturing the data from is FXCM, which is part of the IQFeed data service for like $30. The data is okay. It is FXCM, but considering it is real time and historical. So what my script does, my Python script, it can have the ability to download virtually all these combination currency pairs. So for instance, here I have Japanese Swiss franc and Japanese yen, and this typically will be a here. This will typically be a flat file that will look like this. This is right from FXCM. I can generate it via Python or QCollector. I've talked about it numerous times. So this is the file. And this may be a historical file or a tick file. In this case, it's a tick file. Okay, and let's see how far back it goes to. So you can see here it goes back actually about 24 hours. So yeah, that's the tick data. So I can throttle the data, frequency of it, that is. So I can download a variety of combination pairs, and where they get stored is in the CSV folder. So in here we have 39 pairs that are currently downloadable on a real-time tick data level. So in this case we have the US dollar and the Swiss franc. So I'll pull that up so you can see it. This is all generated via my script, my Python script, and I don't intend to release that for the obvious reasons. So this is the same data, captures open, high, low, close, volume, as well as open interest. Okay, so we can capture all that in flat files, and again I can change the frequency if I wanted to. Okay, so those are the files, and this again is real time. So what we're doing is then we have a file, or data file, or folder I should say, of those 39 pairs. Okay, so in each one of these, again, let's say Euro, US dollar, and it's a Word document, and basically what it has is some descriptive stats on that pair. So for instance, you can get the variance, skewness, standard deviation of that time period. Okay, mean, median, all that, and We are using average true range, so we have two measurements of open to open or high to low, different classifications. Okay, so depending upon how you want to work with it, we have both. And of course, we have standard deviation, upper and lower range of standard deviation 1, 2, and 3, as well as lower. Any of these, let's say standard deviation 3 is pretty extreme, an extreme move. So we do track that. Now, at this point, I don't really have a big interest in this yet, but as I dig deeper into analysis, I may use those stats. Some people may use them, but again, it's just measured by as from the data source of FXCM. Okay, so we have the associated pair file or word file of all the descriptive and some other stats as well, standard deviation moves. Not only that, I try to include a chart as well. So let me just see if I can just load this. Okay, so what we do is we have high to low, open to open, and we try to measure a somewhat of a normalized distribution chart. Some of them can work, it just depends upon the moves, but as this is fairly experimental, let me just pull up one of the more volatile ones that I know of to get a better representation. Now, what I want to show you, it's very important to understand the reason of this analysis. So it's not a good chart, but some of them can be useful. Anyways, the big file that's the most useful out of the lot here is a file called ranking. It's a spreadsheet or CSV or a CSV. And what it is a file that ranks by daily, 7-day, weekly, or on a quarterly basis, as well as the 6-month, as well as the standard deviation moves. Okay, so what you can do with this data, you can see here we have all, actually it's 38 currency pairs. Actually, sorry, yeah, it is 39. And what we're doing here is we're measuring which are the most volatile. So if I come here under sort and sort, let's say by daily on a weekly basis, what we can find here is if I go sort by daily, sort on values, I don't know, let's say largest to smallest, what you'll find here, these are the most volatile pairs to trade. Okay, and you do this because these are the ones that have the most moves. Now, if you start, let's say, assuming you want to play it safe and just trade these guys, let's say the US Canadian dollar, these moves are not going to make you any money, okay? Because unless you use huge leverage to make money on it, and yet at the same time take the risk of a misdirected call or a wrong forecast, and you're using leverage, it's a pretty dangerous way to trade. Whereas if you know the fundamentals of these countries and the economy, the markets of each of these countries, and you can factor in the direction on a weekly or a monthly or a 6-month basis, and with these kind of moves, because they're more volatile, in this case we have a 5% move for the British to Japanese yen, we have another 5.1% or 5.2% move between the US and the South African rand, and the South African rand and the Japanese yen has moved at 4.2% on a weekly basis. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells you, if you've watched my YouTube channel, I put up a couple of videos on this. I stated this in my webinar I just did on Monday, your retirement, your stock picks. What we did talk about in that is setting daily target moves of about 1%, okay, on your trading. You do that each and every day, you'll do fairly well. So knowing the moves of 5% on either of these pairs, and you get that call right, you can do quite well in forex trading using these pairs, knowing that they are the most volatile. Whereas if you were just play it safe, again, let's say on the US Canadian dollar, you're not going to make any money. Here you can make money, lower your leverage, or not even, maybe even use leverage to get these 5% moves because they're the most volatile. Now, looking at why these pairs are volatile, I think the GBP, or British pound, is volatile because of the recent UK election, which has left it pretty well in a disarray, where there's no clarity on the government because they have a hung parliament, and then therefore the Japanese yen is looked upon as one of the safe haven currencies. The US dollar against the South African rand may be volatile due to the fact of political disarray in South Africa. And here, again, with this combination between the volatile moves of the, let's say, South African government, and they want to put money into a safe trade, again, that's where the Japanese yen will come into play. And here, again, this euro and British pound is due to the negotiations between the two regions. And then again, we have the British pound, again, going into a safe haven of the Swiss franc. So in this current climate, it totally makes sense, and you will get some nice moves. So again, why would you put your capital on these currencies or these pairs? Because they're just not going to be as volatile. So you won't lose money, but the likelihood of you making a larger amount of profit is in these currencies. So that's why I do this report. And again, this is all experimental, so I got to properly put these periods together. But even on a volatile basis, it's good to know. Also, we have this. So let me just see the standard deviation. I think this is done on a intraday level. So let me just make sure we get that. Guess we want standard deviation, and again, value largest to smallest. So again, you can see here that standard deviation is highest in the majority of those currencies. Here, the US dollar, Mexico, because the Mexican peso is currently one of the more better performing currency pairs. So that's pretty well a cool way to analyze your pairs in currency or forex to see which ones give you those volatile moves. And again, I'm using ATR, average true range. This is one of the unique features of this system that I'm writing, and these are clear winners to trade. Okay, as explained. All right, hopefully I'll help you out, and if you're interested in this, you can always come to my blog, anywhere on my site, go into product, and then come under quantitative, and that will give you access to this monthly subscription. Hopefully I'll see you on the other side. Talk to you later.